Welcome back. Today we're making these absolutely delicious Nutella macarons. And whether you call them macarons or macaroons, we're going to show you how to make them. Whenever you're making macarons, it's really important that you're precise with your ingredients, so I like to measure them by weight. However, my recipe includes both cup and gram measures so that everybody can make these. I'm sifting together some superfine almond flour, powdered sugar, and unsweetened natural cocoa powder. Once I get to the bottom of my ingredients, I kind of push them through my sieve using a rubber spatula like this. And once everything is sifted, it's time to work on our French meringue. So I'm adding 2 egg whites into the bowl of my stand mixer, and these are aged egg whites that I separated a couple days ago and let mature in my fridge. And then I'm mixing that on a medium-high speed until soft peaks form. I'm slowly adding in some castor sugar. You can also use granulated sugar, but I find that my meringue turns out best when I use castor. So I'm going to continue to mix this on a medium-high speed until the meringue starts to gather inside of the whisk, kind of like this. So it should have stiff peaks where it's kind of standing up on its own, but you don't want to over whip your meringue where it can look kind of dry. So keep an eye on it. Feel free to stop it as needed until you see your meringue look just like this. Then it's time to fold in our dry ingredients. I like to do this in 3 phases, so I add in about 1/3 of those dry ingredients and I slowly fold them into our meringue. So as you can see, I'm scooping around the bowl twice and then kind of pulling through the center, and I repeat that until the dry ingredients are mostly incorporated. Then I'm going to add my second addition of dry ingredients, and I'm going to repeat the same process. As you're doing this, you want to make sure that you are being firm yet gentle, because it does take a little bit of arm power to incorporate the dry ingredients, but you don't want to completely deflate your meringue. So that's the goal of this, is getting all of those dry ingredients mixed in and working your meringue the perfect amount to get it to have kind of a thick flowing consistency. Some people say that the consistency you're after is like lava, but that never really helped me, so I think the best visual cue is to lift up some batter on your spatula and kind of let it flow. It should flow off in a nice thick ribbon like this, and once it reaches this consistency, you know you're ready to pipe. I like to use a large round frosting tip just like this, so I place my batter in there, secure the top with a rubber band, and then pipe onto my silicone mat. So this has some rounds that help make sure that all my macaroons turn out the same size, but you can also print out a template and put it under parchment paper to make sure your macaroons are uniform in shape. And then it's time for the really fun part, banging or dropping your pans on your counter. It's a super important step because it helps any trapped air bubbles come to the surface, which prevents your macaroons from cracking. I'm now using a toothpick just to pop any air bubbles that didn't quite break the surface and make sure that we don't have any trapped before we bake them. But before we bake them, we're actually going to let them rest for about 30 minutes until they form a skin and look matte in appearance. This is going to help make sure they develop proper feet and bake up really nice and beautiful. Bake temp can vary a lot based on your oven and the size of your macaroons, but I like to bake them in a preheated 325-degree oven for 12 to 14 minutes. It's important that you let the macaroons fully cool on the pan before you try to peel them off so that the bottoms don't stick to your sheet. Once they are fully cooled, you can pipe some delicious buttercream and filling onto them. I'm using Nutella Buttercream and, of course, a Nutella center. You could totally stop there, but since this is such a fun flavor, I decided these macarons needed a little bit more flair. So I melted some dark chocolate and swirled it on top of each macaron to give it a really beautiful finished look. If you want to make these Nutella macarons at home, the recipe is included in the video description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys again soon.